First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Jimmy Carroll. I'm the Vice President of Sales here at Netrix. I am responsible for all of the transition as well as the go forward with the legacy DSS and Contigix group and those accounts. So thank you very much for obviously your business and the opportunities you've afforded us. We very much are excited to have you as a part of the Netrix family. I'm going to give a quick overview, and I can see a couple of names that were nice enough to join our webinar last week on Azure. So Judd and a couple of the other guys, please bear with me as you've seen a couple of these slides already. I'll then introduce Samir Patel. Samir is our director and runs all of our collaboration services. He'll be going into a lot of the stuff around Teams today, some of the differentiations that we can provide and how we can help, and then go through some of the opportunities that you guys may have. A little bit about Netrix. So we are a 30-year-old organization based here in Chicago, Illinois, a total of 700 employees. What I really like about that number is 500 of those employees are full-time employed technical resources. So we're very heavy around the professional services side. The rest is really sales and operations. But we have a ton of opportunity to help you guys in many, many roles. We're just going to talk about Microsoft today and around the Teams event. But one of the things you may see that you didn't have access to previously in the Contigix world is a depth and breadth around services that might not have been available. So things like Microsoft, security, an enhanced aspect around managed services. That'll be the thing. Can you go back one slide? I apologize. Somebody moved that slide on me. Thank you. The 24/7, 365 Cloud Management Center. This goes right into kind of the international operations. This has a follow the sun model. We have operations in the Philippines, India, the UK, Bulgaria, as well as here in the United States. So as part of that follow the sun model, we want to make sure that we can handle issues for you anytime, any day, et cetera, et cetera. So you'll be working with that group. This does not change the investments that you've made already and some of the service work that we're providing through Contigix. Again, this will just be another level of service that we hope we can provide. In the US, we have 17 locations. 3 of those are data centers. The one that you're familiar with is Bethlehem. We also have a Tier 3 SOC 3 Type 2 here in Chicago, as well as one for geo redundancy in Dallas, Texas. So all of those we have cross connections currently between the 2 in Chicago and in Dallas, and we're working on the cross connect again just for a higher availability aspect and more capabilities if your organization needs it. So the public cloud competencies, a lot of the discussions around this webinar series are going to be around cloud. We had the one last week around Azure. I hope everybody has received a copy of the webinar. If you haven't, please let us know. If you have, please take a look. The next one today obviously is going to be around the cloud aspects of collaboration. And then next week, same bat time, same bat channel, we will have one specifically around security. So please, if you have the opportunity to attend that as well. But I won't read this slide and all the certifications. It's kind of a brag slide for marketing, but you can see kind of where the depth and breadth around the public cloud competencies that we carry. What I want to make sure we all do as well is this is not supposed to be a death by PowerPoint. So please, if you have any questions during the presentation while Samir's speaking or even at the close, please feel free to put them in the chat. Samir will either address them immediately or let us know that they're going to be covered by a later slide in the presentation. But again, your feedback, this is for you, this is your time, so please squeeze every ounce of information you can out of us and specifically Samir during this presentation. With that, I will turn it over to Mr. Patel, our Vice President of Collaboration.
Thank you, Jimmy. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining on today. First of all, this slide, we will spend a few minutes on this slide here. What I want to present here is since COVID has started, Microsoft Teams, Zoom platform has penetrated all the organization. Any companies that we have gone in, they have already Microsoft Teams or Zoom or some other type of solution or both solutions because lots of organizations have a different PBX, different unified communication solutions. Specifically for the Teams, when COVID started versus what is now, is users are using Teams for a IM presence was when it started. Then organizations started adding the audio conferencing. When it comes to the voice, how do you use Teams as a voice platform? That's where we are seeing lots of companies are in a nimble, like, okay, how do I do coexistence? If I have a Cisco PBX today, how do I migrate? If I have Cisco and Teams or Zoom and Teams, how do we coexist? What do we really need to do? Then another question comes up is a contact center. How do I migrate my agents to the new platform and have the productivity? What would be my Salesforce or any CRM integration that needs to be done? How would I be able to handle my conference rooms video solution that we have? So this is where that's what the blue dotted box is showing. That's where most of all the companies are in that bucket where they are either planning for it or they are unsure where they needs to get there. Where Netrix has all those capabilities for the teams, leverage the teams as a platform for the voice services, whether it's a unified communication perspective, whether it's a contact center, or whether it is a conference room with an audio video side. Now, why Netrix, right? One of the things that, as Jimmy shared, Netrix is doing voice work for almost 20 plus years. We started with a Cisco practice. So we have a depth in a Cisco, Microsoft, and Avaya and other PBXs as well. So what makes us very unique is we have a talent. One person can speak different PBXs and they can articulate to you what exactly the coexistence would look like. If you have any, what type of roadblocks you would feel, what type of features would be impacted. So that type of a strong foundation from a service delivery perspective that you will get. We leverage the Microsoft Teams as a platform, and we have built the additional services that you will see later as well. And all the services that we provide, that is a Netrix created IP based on the Microsoft Teams that would give you that one single company for all your Microsoft Teams related services needs. And the last thing is it is in our DNA that we focus on the end users. So usually what we have seen is the companies focus on what PBX do you have, where you want to go, let's figure it out, and then move forward. What we take an approach is we focus on an end user, how your end users are consuming the services. They might be liking some of the features that they did not have it before. So how do we retain that? What are their pain points today? So we can address that in the future. If there are some changes are happening, we leverage our end user training and the change communication team to make sure that those changes are communicated and users are trained, so there is a least amount of resistance for the adoption of the new services we are delivering. I shared that Microsoft Teams. We get asked like, okay, I know Teams has a lots of different services, but how does it help? So these are some of the services that we have provided. Most of the services that our Netrix team can provide. So let's say empower employees. So we can do lots of pulse survey, depending with, and those surveys are built into the team. So they don't have to go to SurveyMonkey or any third-party sites, and you can get the data and you can use, we can work with your team on a Power BI platform that would also leverage that what the data analytics are going to take place. Onboarding and scheduling, right? Like when there is a new employees are coming in, joining the organization, being in current time where there is a half of the percent, 50% of the workforce is working remotely. So when the remote worker is joining the company, how do you onboard them? How do you train them? How do they get connected with one another, their teammates? So things like that, we can help you to accomplish that. We can also work with you on the optimizing operation, transform or the products that goes into lots of the team's product and Power Apps and things like that. We won't be talking about it, but at least I want you to be aware that we as a Netrix can provide those services on a Teams as a platform. How do we assess any type of engagement? as I shared, we focus on the end user. We do the planning, where in the planning exercise, you will see that we are not asking the questions is what type of PBX or what type of current system you have. We do host the workshop. In the workshop, we ask your security, your network team, your identity team, which is Active Directory or anything else. We work together as a team in a workshop. Okay, this is what we want to accomplish. This is how it will work. And we have this type of requirement in order to make it work. Does that align with your identity team? What type of issues do you see? What are the gaps analysis? So that way, before I want to identify the potential roadblocks or a risk in the deployment from day one. Then we also host the workshop with the end user or the business units. And it's not like we gather all the users. We just take it 5 or 6 users and we say, okay, help us understand how you are consuming the services. And we show them a little demo of Teams as a solution. This is what your transformation looks like. That kind of gives us a pulse, how users are going to react to the new technology, what type of concerns they would have. Then once they see that, we will see excitement, or they say, yeah, okay, it's one more thing. So we are assessing at that time, and that interviews are taken by our change management team. So they are picking up all the cues and they can prepare the training material for that. Once we have an idea of from the workshop and the advisory services, we look into the deployment side, because Microsoft Teams is already cloud-based services. All our services are cloud-based, where we provide the calling plans and everything else. And then we work with your on-premises services to integrate into the Microsoft Teams through our SBCs that would enable the coexistence. Then we do the POC, and then adoption team where they train the users. So we have a few models, train the trainer, and we provide the Golden Glow services to the executive team, and then we pass that training goes further down. Once that's done, and we provide the 24/7, 365 managed services for those users who are migrated. Now, this slide is everything that we just talked about, but one of the points that I do want to show is what we as a Netrix for a Microsoft Teams universal communication that we can provide. We provide professional services to migrate, right? So if you want us to help you, let's say you have a ShoreTel PBX or a Avaya or Cisco, how do you migrate to Teams? We can work with you. If you need any assistance, well, we are a Cisco shop. We need to go to Microsoft Teams. I need to understand what type of licenses do we need. Most of everyone understand that, okay, I need either Microsoft E1 or M1, M3, M5, depending on where you are in your Office 365 license, you can purchase those, but how you can maximize the cost savings. So we are being a CSP, we can help you those as well. And being a CSP, you can get those licensing on a month-to-month basis, which means that the 1 month, if you have 100 users, you take 100 license. Next month, you have 90 users, you do 90. Next month, 120, depending on ups and down. You can adjust it. Instead, locking down with Microsoft directly, having a 1-year commitment with that. So that's the added value that we provide to our customers. Another thing is Microsoft Teams direct routing. You will see in a couple of slides, I will show you what exactly that Microsoft Teams direct routing, how we are doing it versus most of the other companies outside in the world, and what are our differentiations are there. So I'll do it in the next 2 slides over there. 24/7, 365 support is there. The one thing that is a very differentiator that we provide is we have seen customers are asking for call recording. That call recording function is not in Microsoft Teams. You all are aware that this meeting is getting recorded. Let's say one of you are calling me on my Teams client, and if we want to record one-on-one call, that is not possible. If you are a Teams to Teams conversation and you want to record, that's not possible. That is something that we have a product and it is fully integrated into our Teams direct routing, that call recording can be done. And our call recording is compliance based. So if you have a PCI compliance, HIPAA compliance, SEC compliance, we provide those type of recordings. And we don't hold on to those data. We take that data, since you will have an Office 365 tenant, we put that data back into your Office 365 tenant. So you have your data in your Office 365, which is already HIPAA, SEC, PCI compliant storage. So that way you are fully compliant, but you will have a one place where you will get the compliance-based recording. eFax, E911, SMS, analog integration. I'm sure lots of companies have the analog in a manufacturing plants. Obviously, there are lots of there. Some of the offices may have a fax, physical fax. One way or other, people are still using the fax. So how do you integrate into the Teams? Well, through our direct routing services, you will be able to do those portions. We also have a contact center services. So we have partnered with Five9, and we also have our own contact center as well. So if you need an enterprise solution, we deploy the Five9 contact center for you. If you are, let's say, migrating from a Cisco UCX, then we will migrate to our contact center, depending on your use cases. So you have options to work with which type of flavor that you are looking for. From a conference room audio video perspective, there are lots of options for Microsoft Room Kits. Now, what we can do is we also provide coexistence between your current room and Microsoft Teams room as a service as well, that you will see. And we have discussed already user adoption and change communication. I want to go through this slide just to make sure that everyone understand what type of licensing requirements are there. So on the left side, it's the features. And on the right side, what type of licensing is there? And if you have any question, please type it into the chat window. I'll respond to you right away because this is the topic that gets lots of questions time to time. So anytime you have Office 365, you do have any license, you have access to Office 365. You get a Microsoft Teams. It doesn't matter whether you have a M1, E1, business class, whatever the license you have access here. Then meetings. So if you have a E1, E3, or M1, M3, you will have access to the meetings. Meetings is this type of meeting that we are hosting right now, whether you have an internal or external, you will be able to join. The one portion of the meeting you will not have is the dial-in number, where if you are not using the Microsoft Teams client and you want to dial from your cell phone number, you will not have that. You need to have an audio conferencing license. That's what that is there. It's an add-on, or it's included into E5. On top of it, you need to have the phone system license. So phone system license is add-on to either E1, E3, M1, M3, or business class licensing, right? It is not part of anything but the E5 or the M5. We have seen sometime Microsoft sells E5 without phone system license as well. So if you have an E5 but you don't see phone system license, most likely Microsoft has given you discounted cost, right? So they have taken away some of the features and given you a lower rate on the E5 license. And this is what on the right-hand side is the Microsoft calling plans. And I will show you by dollar, but over here, what exactly Microsoft calling plans? Microsoft has 3 different type of calling plans per user model. So you can have it at a $6 per user per month for a calling plan. That is a domestic calling plan. You would have a 120 minutes on that one. And so let's say you have 100 users. So 100 times 6, it's a $600 just for a calling. But you will not be able to make international calls. If you need an international call, you have to purchase the $24 per user per month license for that. Those minutes get added to the tenant as a pool level, but on a 200 and 120 minute plan, that's where it's not. If you go over 120, but someone else is not, then it's like a shared minutes plan. That's what that is. On the left-hand side is a direct routing for the teams. So these are the services what we provide. So we will be doing direct routing services through our SBC, which you don't have to buy Microsoft calling plans or communication credits from Microsoft. What you will do is you will have our direct routing services, and then we will provide you all those PSTN services and the managed services as well. And the last is common area, phone meeting rooms, and the video interrupt. Those licenses are not there, but those are additional license that is there. I think David has a question. So David's question is, do the licensing level also apply to academic license A3 and A5? Absolutely, David, that is true statement. So those do apply to academic license as well. This is the architecture high-level diagram. As Jimmy stated in his opening, that we do have the data centers in North America and European region. So this is our global topology. So this is where we are showing you our Mount Prospect Chicago data center and Dallas data center, where one of the key differentiation where Microsoft also uploads us for this type of deployment is we have a physical ribbon SBC, and these ribbon SBCs are carrier grade. Through this SBC, we have been provided 99.999% uptime for last 8 to 10 years. We don't get any outages. We provide very solid services for the PSTN side. If there are issues, the services fail over and end user have no impact whatsoever. Now you are looking at a one box, it's called NVX. So NVX is our own UC system. We talked about SMS capability. We talked about analog integration. We talked about some of the contact center integration. So this is the brain that we leverage that integrates into the team and all your other services, as it shows, analog device, overhead paging, faxing, and you name it, any other services that is Teams cannot provide, that our NVX can, and NVX seamlessly integrate into the Teams to end user. They are consuming services on Teams client. They never see NVX. They know nothing about it. Everything is done on a back end. So for the end user is a one client, one technology everywhere they go to, whether it's a mobile phone, whether it's a PC, whether it's a Mac, whether they are leveraging their conference rooms devices, they would get the one interface, and that's how they would consume the services. We have the same setup in Germany and Amsterdam as well. And we are working on our Asia Pac services right now. So we, from a global perspective, you will get a full coverage. One another thing that I do want to point out is, let's say you have a existing contract with your SIP service provider, and it's a 3-year contract, and this is your first year. How do you move there? It's very easy. You don't have to change your carrier. You can bring your own carrier. So your carrier will connect to our SBC, and we will help you. My team will work with you step by step, and they will work also with your carrier as well. And we will build a SIP trunk. So, and what will happen is you will connect to our SBC, and that SBC will connect to Teams and the NVX, and we will have all the services be done. So there is no ETF, and you can also consume your services as it is. When your 2 years is left, then we will port the DIDs to our services, and there will be a cost saving that you can gain by doing that at that time as well from us. Added benefits, I think we talked about it, but one of the things that I do want to highlight, the SMS. We have seen usage of SMS sky high. What I mean by is, let's say you go to Walgreens, or you call your plumber, and you will get a text message that, hey, your plumber is on its way, they would be there in 30 minutes. Or Walgreens will tell you, send you a message, your prescription is ready to pick up. Costco, any business you think about, small to large, they all are leveraging text messages. Why? One, that's very easy. You don't have to make a phone call and wait for somebody to respond and goes to voicemail. You get no confirmation. Text message goes there, people read it and done. So, and it's very inexpensive. So what we are seeing that companies are coming and say, can we do SMS on the same DID that user has it? That means, let's say my phone number is 952-807-8211. If anybody want to send a text message to that number, they can send a text message and I will get it on my Teams client and I will be able to see that. Or if I can respond to it, I want to do mass communication email, I can do that as well. Whether I am home, traveling, abroad, anywhere I am, I will be able to get that because that text message is coming on the data, not carrier. So as long as I have a data, I will be able to access it and respond anywhere. Call recording, we talked about it. Dynamic 911, as most of you are aware, that starting 2021, federal requirement is that dynamic 911, there are Ray-Ban laws enforcement. So our solutions are fully dynamic 911 capable. Having your remote work working from home, we can mix and match dynamic 911, static 911 to keep the cost low, but you will be able to say that your organization is complying with dynamic 911 requirement. Some of the things are stack services that I do. We talked about voice, we talked about the meetings. I do want to also share a little bit about a contact center as well and the custom integration. So let's talk about custom integration. As I stated a few slides ago that, there are lots of things that we do as a custom, for the Teams as a platform. We have seen all type of requests that coming in. One of the recent requests that one of the school asked is that, hey, we want everyone to come in and take a temperature. If the temperature is above certain degrees, then they should not be coming to the school, and it goes back and emails goes out to the parent and the school and say, hey, this person won't be able to join. So those type of integration we can create, and those type of things can be leveraged for the office use as well. So that kind of makes sure that employee feels comfortable that, hey, the person they are working with or sitting together in a conference room, they feel safe, and the productivity goes higher as well when everyone feels better about it. This is the slide that I shared with you. I talked about a few minutes ago that there is a cost saving is tied to that. So on the left-hand side, it's the slide which says Microsoft Direct calling plan client has a E3. So what we are assuming is, let's say this company has a 500 users. So you do need a phone system license. So that is by given. You also need audio conferencing license. Then you have a domestic calling plan, and this is the most cheapest or average calling plans that we see that is there. And this is what the total cost comes in. If you look at the total cost per user, it's a $20 per cost. What you are not getting in $20 per user is you are not getting any managed services, you are not getting any SMS, analog integration, or 24/7 365 support. On the right-hand side, it's the same organization, how the Netrix cost is going to be. You obviously need to get the licensing, right? So first two line items are there is no difference, but what we are providing is concurrent model. So what we do is we look at it, if you have a 500 users, how many users are going to make a phone call? Not everybody is on the phone call all the time. So we say you can make let's say 20% is the phone or total user count will make the phone call, 100 concurrent sessions. And that's what it is. And you will get the domestic calling plans. it's $1,000 versus $4,000 on a Microsoft. There is a huge cost difference that you will get. Now, you don't have to pay $24 per user with Netrix calling plan for international calls. What we do is, let's say you have to make a call to Japan or other European countries or Asian specific countries, anywhere in the world. Let's say you make 10-minute call or 1,000-minute call, we charge per usage. We have a rate table that we share with you, and depending on the usage. So there is nothing extra that you have to pay as a $24 per user per month, like a Microsoft charges. So that's where the cost savings are coming in. Now, in additional components, which is the SMS, right? So if you add the SMS for those users, you add the managed services, you add analog integrations and everything else, it comes down to close to the $20 per user. So you will save 75% in the calling plans, and that saving you can leverage for additional needs, right? Additional business requirements if you have those, or if you don't, then you have a 75% cost saving on a calling plans. For the room kits, we provide room kits for as a service model. So instead of spending everything for a few big rooms, a big check or a CapEx model, we provide everything as an OpEx model. We do have a Teams room that can coexist with a Zoom as well, and they can also coexist with other services as well. So we designed the solutions that last longer, and we provide fully 24/7, 365 support for all these rooms. So for example, if you have some type of room, there is a TV is down, or there is a shades not working, lightning is not there working the way it should be, you open a ticket, we resolve it. Most of the things can get done remotely. Sometimes we dispatch the people to come on site and look at the TVs or whatever the technology is there to fix it as well. Contact center. We do have an omni-channel contact center offer that we talked about. Now, this is fully Teams integrated product. So you will be consuming services from the Teams client, and there would be an app inside the Teams app. So you click on it and you will get the same services. There is no, so for everybody's awareness, there is no contact center cannot live inside the Teams client. The reason is, and as soon as you refresh, contact center screens refreshed, it loses all the data. So that's why it is a standout application, whether it's a Five9, ours, or any third party. That's how the contact center works. So I just want to make you aware, because what we see is lots of clients used to say that, hey, I thought that it works in the Teams, and we have to make sure that they understand that, yes, it works in the Teams, but it's a separate window. From the contact center perspective, what we have is CRM screen pop. So if you do have a Salesforce, Microsoft Dynamics 365, or any type of CRM, we can integrate to those. We have agents that can connect to those solution. So there is a pre-built integration points are already there. You will have an agent wallboard. Agent wallboard is what is the agent's workload looks like, how many cases they are working, how many calls are in a queue, things like that. Supervisor dashboard, so all the agents or help desk people, how many tickets they are working on, what exactly the wait time is. If somebody's calls are waiting too long, then it will beep or it will flash. So supervisor can say, okay, instead of using this queue, here you go, help this person. So your customer interaction is super strong. Post-call survey is there as well. We also do blended campaign dialer, call recording, abandoned call tracking, advanced call reporting. So we provide close to 185 out of the box reports. Five9 provides about 250 reports out of the box. So you can use those reports for your needs, or we can also help you create the customized reports as well. How can we help? So there are a few things over here. You heard me say workshop, right? So we do use the workshop. There are three types of workshop that can be there. One is the Teams meeting and meeting room workshop. So what we discussed is like, what is your conference room solution is look like? What are your users' requirements are? Because if you look about like 2 years ago, what your requirements were, and versus what your requirements are today, they are going to be dramatically changed. And when our team member speaks with you or your team, and that would be also very helping them that, oh, I did not think about that. So we try to work with a zero touch join experience and things like that, because of what is happening out there. So we want to make sure that we are bringing the best of the breed and best of the solutions that you can leverage. So those are the workshop that we can conversations. Teams calling workshop. Teams calling workshop is fully dedicated for the voice. What type of PBX you have, whatever the complexity you have, throw at us. We will help you understand how the coexistence would work, what would be the pain points, what you should look after, what you should think about, how do you go from point A to point B. We'll give you those type of guidance as well. Teams apps and a solution workshop. If you remember in a few slides back, that how we have helped some of the large organizations in their journey for a Teams as a platform. Those use cases, if you need to discuss, hey, we want to leverage Power Apps, we want to do Viva, we want to create a app, we want to uplift our legacy app into the Microsoft Teams. What can we do? Things like that would be discussed in those workshops. We can also provide 45 days proof of concept, right? Over here, it says proof of concept. I know that Teams voice works. I'm sure most of you are leveraging it today, but I think it should be proof of value. What is the value that you will get from 45 days for 50 users that we will enable for the DIDs in your Teams tenant, right? Like, what is it worth to you? So that would be something that we would give you at $0 cost for 45 days for 50 users. In that one, we will give you our DID, because what we don't want is don't want to port your DID and port back if you don't like something, right? So we will give you our DID, but my team will work with your team to make sure that your Office 365 tenant is configured and proper configurations are set for our SBCs as well. So we'll do that back work and your work, and then our PM and user adoption team will work with your users enablement and training and everything else as well. Questions?
So Samir, I had a quick question since I've got you here. Sorry to monopolize anybody else's time, but I had a client we just talked about yesterday in regards to a hybrid solution around their existing system as they're migrating off. So they're currently on a 12.5 Cisco on-prem system. They need some integration because the C-levels don't want to give up Cisco, but they've got the Microsoft licensing in place for the rest of the organization. They're currently running their own SBCs, but wanted some help integrating Cube. And can you speak a little bit to maybe that hybrid solution from a migration strategy perspective and how we handle something like that?
Absolutely, Jimmy. So what we can do is, if they have a Cisco 12.5, we have a Cisco, our Cisco team will work with, so what we'll look at is a Cisco Cube. And we can work with the Cube to integrate into the Microsoft Teams and the Unify. And what we also do is we will work with a Cisco messaging solution for the voicemail integration with Office 365 voicemail as well. So that is the option one that we can propose. I do know that Cisco Cube has a couple limitations on a built-in integration. If they are open, there is a third-party SBC can be placed as well, so that SBC will handle integrate with Cube, with Office 365, and they would have a very seamless integration as well. So there are two options that we can provide, Jimmy, there.
Excellent, thank you. So if obviously anything you heard today is ringing a bell, you'd like some more information, we offer the architecture and design sessions Samir mentioned, and we want to make sure that we get out there and kind of help you define wherever you're at in that journey. So I'm thinking about it. It's a 2022 project. We're trying to look at both things from a cost benefit analysis. How does this really fit in the organization? What's our licensing structure look like? Anything in that realm, please reach out to us directly. Your reps will be reaching out to you as well as a follow-up to make sure that obviously you enjoyed it. Any feedback you have, positive or negative, in regards to how it was delivered, we'd love to give that back to the team so that we can, build a better mousetrap next time around. But we, again, very much appreciate all of the time today, as well as the continued opportunities to serve you. But you'll all be receiving an email of this. And again, if anybody has an opportunity to attend the Security One next week, I highly recommend it. It's going to be another excellent delivery. Rich Lilly will be speaking on behalf of the organization. He's one of the top Microsoft security guys in the country, and we're blessed to have him on the team. So again, please let me know if there's anything that we can do. But with that, I will call it quits. I wish you guys the best rest of the week. And again, for the final time, thank you so very much. We very much appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone, for your time today.